Alright guys, so I'm going to give you quite possibly the easiest Void 30 build that there is in the game. You can use this in pubs, and I use it in pubs all the time, and get between 2 and 3 minute clears. It is by far going to be the most effective way for you to farm Void 30. So having said that, let's hop into the video. So for this build, we are going to be using Serena, and the first weapon we're going to be talking about is Malevolent from the Season Pass. Now we are going to talk about the cores on this, and just know that you do need high level cores. So even if you don't have high level cores, just put what you have on it, because you'll be swimming in cores before you know it, and you'll be able to reroll to try to get the perfect stats. So having said that, we are going to be looking at 2 chill cores, 1 firearm attack core, and then the last 2 are going to be fire rate cores. So when it comes to the roll on this weapon, you can roll it 2 different ways. You can roll it the way I have, which is firearm attack, chill attack, darkness, and we're going to have weak point on it. The other roll is to take weak point off and just go ahead and slot in an extra mag. It's only going to add 1 bullet, so it's really up to you if you want to do it or not. While you're rolling, just pick the one that happens to show up. So when it comes to the roll on Malevolent, this is what we're going to look at. We're going to build very heavily into chill damage. We're going to make sure we put on 2 mag mods. We are going to go ahead and bring the fire rate up, and then we're going to use 3 mods to really crank that base firearm damage. In order to do this, you will need to have this weapon fully catted, and I know that's kind of expensive, but it is worth it with this gun. This gun is just an absolute beast. For our second weapon here, we are going to use the Last Dagger. The Last Dagger was something some of us had built last season, so you might be lucky and just have one laying around. For the cores on this, we're going to go with double firearm attack. We're going to go with 1 chill attack and 2 firearm attacks. Outside of that, for the roll, we're going to go with firearm attack, chill attack, weak point, and we're going to finish up with crit hit damage. So the crit damage on here was from last season, and that was because we had an Enzo in our team, which was definitely buffing our crit hit damage. In pubs this season, there's a good chance you will not have an Enzo or a Luna with you, and if you find that you don't, you can always roll that out for bonus damage to darkness, and that will guarantee you're at least getting some type of bonus out of that slot. Alright guys, it's Randy the editor. Let me cut in here really quick. So for whatever reason, Judge in his infinite wisdom did not actually record the build for this weapon, and you're gonna want the build if you plan on using this gun at all. Now, unfortunately, I don't play the game, so I don't really know what I'm looking at. I don't know. You guys know, I don't know. Either way, this is the build that Judge has on his gun, so I'm assuming this is the build that you need. You can let him know that he's an idiot in the comments below for missing this. But back to the video. So with Serena being a gun descendant, and with this build being focused around guns, you do not need a matching reactor. But what I will say is you want to have duration up and cooldown down on your reactor. When it comes to your components, we're going to want 2 pieces of the Ascendant Armory, and we're going to want 2 pieces of the Annihilator. The reason we're doing this is because this really gives us a lot of HP, and HP scales her 4, which is something you're going to be using a lot in this build. Getting HP on the Ox here is very important because we are trying to build into that HP as much as we can. Outside of that, just put max MP and regen MP on all the rest of the pieces. Even though we're not flying, you will use this a lot for your dash and for your 1 spam. So when it comes to our inversion reinforcement, this is what we're going to run. We're going to be looking at chill focused rounds, evolutionary cutting mechanism, and blood density augmentation. All 3 of these are just going to increase your DPS, which is going to make you fly through Void Erosion 30 with a public team. For our RK tuning, this is the board we're going to go with. We're really going to prioritize getting that gold HP node and then putting as much firearm attack into our weapon as we can. So for your fellow, you can use either fellow you want. I am using the new fellow because it does help a little bit with some of the ammo issues we're going to run into. But at the end of the day, either dog is going to work. Just make sure you have one of them equipped. So last but not least, we are going to look at the mods on Serena. You can see here there is a lot going on, but everything we're doing here is to try to increase her duration, get her cooldown down as much as we can so we can keep that 4 spammed as often as possible, and then everything else is just to pump her HP and to pump her attack. The main synergy here to note is him with Passionate Sponsor. So most of the time you're going to be running around and you're going to use your 1, and you're going to use that to try to get ammo back from the enemies. If one of your teammates happens to be in the way, you will hit them and you'll give them a nice little buff, and it'll help your Passionate Sponsor. But where things really get interesting is using your dash in air, because your dash in air actually gives a buff to all of your allies, which helps keep the stacks of Passionate Sponsor up. So don't feel like, oh my God, it's so hard to keep this up. You will be able to do it really well because you will be in the air dashing all the time to reload, because that is part of this build. All right, so the big thing we're going to need to talk about here is the skill loop. I want to make sure you guys actually know how to play this character. So when you come into a map, the first thing you're going to want to do is jump in the air and pop your 4. Doing that is going to give you a buff, and that buff is going to cause your attacks to do scaling AoE damage based on the maximum amount of HP you have. That is what makes this build so lethal. Now, after you pop your 4 and you find a set of enemies, go ahead and use your 1. This is going to try to get you ammo back, and it's going to start your loop. After that, start unloading on them with your gun. Now, when you run out of ammo, just jump in the air a little bit and dash to the side. Doing this is going to reload your weapon and allow you to keep doing damage. Now, before you start shooting, go ahead and use your 1 again, because we're trying to generate ammo. That way we can do this for an extended period of time. Now, jumping in the air and dashing will also buff any allies near you, which will help you proc Passionate Sponsor. Between that and your 1s, you should be able to keep your stacks on Passionate Sponsor up pretty easy. Afterwards, it is honestly just a rinse and repeat of doing these things over and over again until the pack of enemies is dead. The joy of this build is you don't actually have to fly the whole time, and with Void Erosion being kind of confined, it is very hard to fly the entire time. You might have seen some builds online that show you flying, and that might not have worked well for you. This is a great mix because it allows you to get a ton of damage without requiring you to be in the air the whole time. The other thing to remember is that while Serena is in air, she does actually get a buff to damage. So if you want, you can B-hop while you're doing damage, and that is just going to increase your damage numbers even more. All right, guys, and that's it. This was actually a pretty quick and dirty guide on how to get out there and farm Void 30 fast and efficiently. Hopefully you guys like this, and hopefully this guide helps you get out there and really push through pubs and get those cores you've been dying for. But let me know down in the comments below, did you guys enjoy the guide? Are there any other tips you have for anybody who's struggling to clear Void 30 in a respectable time? If so, let me know down in the comments, and let's really try to get the community up and clearing this content and gearing up for Season 3. And if you guys enjoy my content, consider liking and subscribing, and you can always come see us live over on Twitch. We're live 5 days a week, and we would love to have you. But having said all that, thanks for watching, and as always, have a great day.